guys, what are you at? It is Pam here on this sunny October day. It's October the 30th, the day before Halloween, and it is just beautiful here. We've had some really nice weather today. I'm hoping for nice weather again tomorrow. Only because, well, because it'd be nice for Halloween for the kids to have good weather, but I think my dad is coming in to help suss out a minor repair with our patio doors. They've been leaking off and on whenever we get some hard rain, and yeah, he's gonna come in and try and, I don't know, take the siding off the house around the patio door and see where the leak is coming from. And I have to fix my camera a little bit. There we go. So it's been a while. I last did a Flosstube update right before I went to Knitlantica, which was all the way back at the end of September. So I've got a lot of projects to show. This is why I decided earlier this year that I was going to try and do a Flosstube update every couple of weeks or so, because I didn't want to leave it a full month because I end up with too many things. And although I sometimes like watching long Flosstube videos, I like the short ones too, because then I can fit a bunch in from different people in one sitting, so to speak. So I'm going to run through my cross stitching, my knitting, my crochet, and some pieces, bits and bobs that I've picked up along the way to add to my stash. So let's get started. So Knitlantica, that was the end of September. It was a lovely weekend spent over on the island of Belle Island, which is just off the coast here. Had to take a ferry over. Spent a Friday afternoon and evening and Saturday stitching with some lovely ladies over there. I only knew one person prior to going, and that was the lady who organized it, who was Patty. Patty from 4 Boys and an NL Girl. She hosts that retreat every year. This is her second year doing it, and she does 2 weekends at the end of September. One is specifically just for knitters, and the second weekend was for makers, hand makers of all sorts. So you could be a stitcher, a knitter, crochet, any kind of hand making sort of person to go, and everybody worked on a bit of everything. So I took my knitting, I took some crochet, and I also took my cross stitch. So let's talk about cross stitching first, because that's primarily what my channel has been about. I've got quite a little pile here to go over with you. Speaking of cross stitching, I do want to remind everybody that I am hosting a giveaway. I've partnered up with Mirkrestikom. I keep pronouncing it that way. I don't know if that's correct or not. They have an English Etsy site. They are a Russian company. And from now until the end of December, they are offering a coupon code for anyone shopping on their Etsy site. It gives you 10% off of your purchase. And for purchases over $70, it's free shipping. I will put a link down below to the coupon code, so that if you go to their Etsy site through that link, the coupon code is already entered, like it's already set up, ready to go. So anything you add to your cart through that link should already have the 10%, or should get the 10% applied when you check out. If not, and you do just manage to go on their website on your own, you can use the coupon code PAMREAD, all capital letters, and apply that at checkout. They are offering that from now right until the end of December, which is great for holiday shopping. Other than that, they have also agreed to do a giveaway for my subscribers. So if you do want to enter the giveaway, please go check out my last video. that details all the information for the giveaway and how to enter. And that is open until midnight tomorrow night, midnight Newfoundland Standard Time. Yes, we do have our own time zone, believe it or not. So midnight Newfoundland Standard Time, Halloween. I will then close the entries, and I'm going to be drawing a winner from followers of my YouTube channel who have commented, as well as people who are following on Instagram, because Mirkrestikom has an Instagram account as well. And if you follow them as well as me and put a tag or comment on my Instagram, that's an extra entry. So all that's explained in the last video if you want to go check that out. And the gift is your choice of one of 3 Owl Forest embroidery kits. So it's a pretty good deal. So let's go all the way back again to Knitlantica. While I was there, I did start my Owl Forest embroidery kit, which is the one for the whale. And I pulled this out at the retreat to start it. I made a working copy of the chart so I could mark it off as I went. And this is where I am. Not much done, but so this was the fabric that came with the kit. This is the called for fabric. And the colors are going to be off in here today, and I'm not going to apologize for it. It's just the way the sunlight is here in my dining room at the moment. But there you go. That is where I am. Trying to see if you can see it clearly enough. So I got a nice bit of the whale tail done. I then started this little house because I really wanted to see how those threads faded. So this yellow is all from one skein, and it just changes color from darker yellow to lighter yellow. And this red, rusty kind of color changes from like a rusty orange to a brighter orange. This is what it looks like on the bobbin. I don't know if that's going to focus or not. That's what it looks like on the bobbin. This is how the threads come. They come all attached to a bobbin. And the bobbin actually has the symbol already on it where this is used for the chart. So these were the colors. The gray that came with it is variegated, but not as much. And the red one is quite variegated. It changes from reds to rusty reds to orangey kind of colors. And this is the yellow. So there you go. That's how far I've gotten with that. The needle minder also came with the chart. So that was my progress I did during Knitlantica. And I think I stitched on it one other time since I got home. Just to add a few more stitches because I was excited about working on it. I will go back to working on that soon, but I'm kind of preoccupied at the moment with a piece I'm working on, so we'll get to that. So that's my Owl Forest embroidery. The next piece I'll show you is, how about we look at Jay's Folk Witch. Now, I have been having some issues with my neck and my shoulder. They are work-related, I believe. It's just a repetitive stress injury. But I've been finding that working on my stand has been aggravating it. And I think it's because, although I can pull my stand right into me, I tend to have it fairly low, and I'm looking down like this a fair bit. And it's really aggravating the muscles in my neck here and going out the top of my shoulder. So I've reverted back to using my hoop. I can sit back in my chair, I can hold my hoop up and stitch fairly upright. And that's been helping this a lot. I will go back to using my stand, but for the time being, I'm using my hoop. So This is a little bit of a hot mess because it is off of the Q-snap and all the threads are hanging, but I will show you what I've gotten done. These couple of threads need to get filled in there. Okay, move that over. There we go. So this is where Jay's Folk Witch currently is. And there's quite a bit done when you have it off the Q-snap and you can see it all. I kind of cut off right here at her neck because I wanted to stitch her face and her hair last. I want to do the upper section last. Gives me something to look forward to. The last time we had seen this, I was working on this green over here. And then I had started working on, oh no, sorry, wrong side. I was working on this green over here. I have pretty much completely finished this page. But this is, and I went on to this page here, so I've pretty much filled in most of this. And the cat, I've finished the cat's tail, except maybe a couple stitches. But this has been pretty confetti heavy in here and in here. And I got a little bit tired of switching out my colors so often, so I needed some block stitching. So I moved over and started filling in some of the dark color on this side and down here, because it's just, you know, it's just straight stitching with no confetti. So far so good. That's going well. Pleased with the progress. My goal was to have it finished by this August coming. I don't know if I can do it in that amount of time, but it will be finished in 2020. It will definitely be finished in 2020. Don't know if it'll be done by August, but it will be done within the year. So that is my goal, and I'm sticking to it. There you go. Next piece is going to be my Death by Cross Stitch. I usually stitch on this on Fridays for Friday Off the Grid stitching. Friday Off the Grid is a Facebook group, and the goal is to get a chunk of time on Friday evenings to sit down and relax, unwind, and have some dedicated hours to your stitching on Friday evenings. Friday evenings don't always work for me because I work shift work. Sometimes I'm off on Fridays, sometimes I'm not. This month or so I was off most Fridays. Now I'm back to working Fridays again. But I started this section over here because all of this is done and all of this is done. So I started this section over here, and that's how far I've gotten. So I did finish this border coming down here. I stitched across so it would join up and filled in this corner. And then I added all of this work in the middle. So I am stitching this 1/1 on 25 count antique white, and I'm using DMC 939. I can't tell, does that look blue? It's like a really, really dark navy, and sometimes it shows up navy and sometimes it shows up black. It kind of does look navy to me there. So that's the color of it. Still really in love with this piece. I like just being able to pick it up and it's just one color and you just pick your needle up and your thread and away you go. This past Friday though, instead of stitching on that, I decided to stitch on my Edgar Allan Poe sampler because, you know, it's close to Halloween and I was in a Halloween-y kind of mood. So I said, I'm going to get that out and work on that. So I moved right along. The Edgar Allan Poe sampler is from the Just Cross Stitch magazine it's the Halloween edition from 2013, believe it or not. And I have a digital copy of this, which I purchased online. So this is just a printed copy. This is the Edgar Allan Poe sampler that's in that magazine that was designed by Pullen Designs. This does no justice to the piece, but it gives you an idea of what it's supposed to look like. And this is where I am. I'm almost finished. So I was gonna only stitch on this for Friday off the grid and then go back to Jay's Folk Witch, but it's still Halloweeny and I'm so close to a finish now. So I finished filling in the fade of the orange sky. I stitched in this adorable, I don't know if you can see them well. I'm going to try and focus this if I can. There we go. Look how cute that little owl is with the little French knot eyes. Is he not freaking adorable? So I have the little owl done. I brought the border across the top and down the side. I stitched in the headstone for Lenore. I stitched the little cat with the orange eyes. I finished the raven with the little French knot eye. And now I'm bringing the border further down. So I've done that. And I'm on the last section, which is just where it says, quote the raven, and then it says nevermore. And the nevermore is done in faded colors, similar to this. So this goes dark to light, and this goes light to dark. So you just stitch nevermore, and then the border gets brought down just around that. I think I can finish this week. So I'm going to keep stitching on it for now and see if I can pull a finish out. And hopefully I will, and I'll have that done. So this is Wednesday. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the weekend, like the end of Sunday, because I'm back to work tonight. So my stitching is going to be a little bit limited, but I'm hoping by the end of Sunday this will be done. So there you go. That is the end of my cross stitch. All of the pieces have now been updated. So after I got my stitching done, let's see, I talked about that. I'm just ticking them off as I go so I know I haven't missed anything. So after my cross stitch, I actually, in between all of that, did some knitting. And I have been knitting for a while, as you know, on this everyday shawl. And it is wearing me out. Like, I really don't, it's not that I'm sick of it, but it's just so much knitting. And it's the same thing. And it was so much garter stitch that I just got tired of doing it. So I am happy to say I am now at the end. And as a matter of fact, did I stop in the middle? I stopped in the middle of a round the last time I picked it up. So I'm gonna have to hold my needles carefully. Here we go. Let's try this. Can you see how big this thing is? It's like huge. This chevron border on the end was awesome. It was tedious to knit, but I enjoyed knitting it. Then I got into the garter and I was like, oh, this is going to be so great because it's just mindless knitting. And it is mindless knitting. And it's more mindless knitting and more mindless knitting. And I was knitted out by the time I got to the other end. So now I'm at the other end where this lovely chevron border starts again. So I'm now at the very end of this piece. I just need to stitch the chevron border like is on the other side. I've gotten one full repeat done of the chevron. As you can see, it's starting now, another little repeat here. So I have to do that repeat, I think it's 12 more times. No, that's a lie. I have to do that. I have to do the full repeat, I think 5 times, which gives you this. So there's like a border and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a finishing edge. Yeah. So I have this one done. I need to repeat 5 more times and then there's the finishing on the end. So I'm still loving it, but I was just tired of working on it and I needed something else to knit. So I cast it on 2 other things because why not, right? So this is actually going back to work with me tonight. I'm going to knit on this for my break, for my lunch break this week. Oh, look at the little button I got from Knitlantica to go on my knitting bag. Isn't that cute? So that is going back to work with me. I'm still continuing on it. I'm not finished it yet, but it's getting there. Okay. So what else do I have? I decided when I was at Knitlantica, there were some other women there who were knitting hats and mittens and all kinds of things. And I have wanted to learn how to do color work. Like in Newfoundland, we have mittens that are called trigger mitts. I don't think they're called that anywhere else. I have seen them called finger mitts. Like it's a mitten, okay? But it has a thumb like a normal mitten, but it also has this finger. And these are in a mitten, and this is separate and this is separate. And it's for outdoors, like when for people who work outdoors, for people who go hunting, thus the trigger, right? It's a trigger finger. It's a trigger mitt. They're usually done in a color work pattern. I'll see if I can find a picture and insert a picture of a trigger mitt. So I want to learn how to knit trigger mitts. They're a very traditional mitten in Newfoundland, and these ladies here have designed a book called Saltwater Mittens, and in it is a bunch of charts for trigger mitts as well as other types of traditional Newfoundland mittens. But I wanted to learn, I had a look at the book and it was a little bit intimidating because the color work is done in a chart. I've never read a knitting chart in my life. And if it's not written out, I don't understand what to do. So I decided I would give some Selbu mittens a try because I found a free pattern for this on Ravelry for Norwegian Selbu mittens. So they're mittens that have a snowflake design on the front or on the back part of the hand, and on the inside, which is the palm side, they have a color work section, which is just a graphic design, and then they have a pattern on the thumb. And from what I can see on the chart portion, because I won't show it to you, but it is a free chart, you can go get it. The chart portion looks very similar to how the chart is done for the trigger mitts. So I was thinking, okay, so if I can learn how to play around with this, because this is a free chart, then I can learn how to do this, then I can go back and buy this book with some confidence in learning how to do proper trigger mitts myself. So this is my first mitten. First bit of color work I've ever done. First mitten I've ever knit. I crocheted a pair of mittens years ago. I've never knit mittens in my life. So it's a 2x2 rib for the cuff. And this is the color work for the snowflake on one side. I'm knitting this just in some sport weight acrylic yarn. It's actually left over from a baby blanket that I made years ago. So I'm using that. There you go. So I got a snowflake on one side. It has this seam on the sides that is white and blue. And then this is the palm. So you're, inside. This is where you separate for the thumb. That's a bit of waste yarn. So that's going to get pulled out of there, and I'll pick those stitches back up to knit the thumb. So it's a little bit wonky because with color work, you have to be, because this is what the inside looks like. You have to be careful about these floats, they're called, on the inside. And I'm learning. So sometimes my floats are pulled a little bit tighter and sometimes they're a little bit more loose. So because of that, let me see if I can pull this on my hand so you can actually, I can stretch it out a little bit like it's supposed to be, minus the thumb part. So this side isn't too bad, but some of these little bits in here, it's not quite as vibrant. Like that X that's there should be a white X that's quite noticeable, I would think, and it isn't. On the back, it's not too bad. But again, some of these X's are not real noticeable, but some of them are. Not X's, stitches, right? Some of the white stitches kind of get buried in the blue. But I'm learning, right? So, yeah. So for a first attempt, I don't think it's too bad. The thumb is in the right spot. Everything seems to be going okay. We'll see how it goes. And yes, I'm doing these on DPNs, double pointed needles. I find they are, I find them easier rather than doing magic loop, because what I'm actually doing is when you do color work, you can't mix up your colors. So my cream color yarn is always on my right, and my blue yarn is always on my left. And instead of, putting my needle in and knitting one stitch with the white and then having to drop that and pick up and knit one stitch with the blue and drop that and pick, I have been knitting English with my right hand with my white and continental with my left hand with the blue. So I'm kind of doing this sort of thing with my yarn, alternating the colors, and it's working okay. And I find the double pointed needles easier to do that with. So yeah, that seems to be the most comfortable thing for me for the color work. So there you go. That's where that is. So I have taught myself how to do color work. I don't know if you would call it successfully, but somewhat successfully. How's that? So I'm going to finish that pair of mittens, and then I want to learn, I want to try a set of trigger mitts. In the meantime, I also went a little bit stir crazy for socks. And I have sock yarn, like nice sock yarn downstairs in my stash. But Michael's had this stuff. Now, I know it's not like wool, but it is sock yarn. It's called Perfect Pair. It's by Loops and Threads. It makes a pair of socks, and it's self-striping. And it is acrylic, I know that, but where does it say what it's made up of? Yeah, so it's 70% acrylic and 23% viscose from bamboo. So it's bamboo and 7% polyester. But it feels nice. Like it doesn't feel like an acrylic, like it feels nice. And I think with the bamboo fiber mixed in, it's would be almost like adding in the nylon maybe. At least that's what my brain is thinking in regular wool. So it gives you that longevity of wear. I could totally be not right, but anyway. So I bought a few balls of this. This is Glory Days. That's the colorway. I got Born to Run, which is like a purpley color. I got this one, which is Walk Like a Man. It's greens and blues. And then this one, which I don't remember the name of, is like aqua blues with a gray, blue, and mint green. And that's what I cast my sock on. So I also wanted to learn how to make toe-up socks, because who doesn't want to do that? Then you can try them on as you go. So I went online and I found a tutorial. I tried a couple of different ways to get a toe that does not have holes in it for your increases. And this one worked best for me. And although it looks kind of squared there now, when you put your foot like into the sock, this rounds out. So it's not a squared toe when it's on the foot. And the stitches on the edge are quite, the increases are quite nice. Like they're kind of flat, so they don't make holes and they don't make a ridge. So this is how this yarn knits up. It's self-striping. So I started with the beginning of the ball and it just changes. And because this is all stockinette, it just automatically changes color as you go through this ball of yarn. So this is the first sock I've cast on. I am doing this magic loop. And it's working quite well. I don't have any ladders. So the knitting is kind of clean there. Yeah. And I love the color of this. And I like the feel of it. And it's lightweight. It's a thin yarn. It is a sock yarn. So it feels quite comfortable. In your hand when I'm stitching with it, it feels nice. And on my foot, I've tried it on to make sure that it was the right width and stuff. And it seems pretty good. So that's where I am with that. So I have a mitten and a sock to break up my knitting on that shawl. That is all my knitting at the moment. Okay. Next thing. Let's put away that yarn. Next thing is baby blankets. I have two people at work who are having babies this year. One is a coworker of mine. Him and his fiance are having their first baby. Him and his girlfriend, whatever. And someone who's on my team at work, her daughter is having her first baby, which is also going to be my friend's first grandbaby. So I decided I would crochet a couple of baby blankets. I did show this, I think, in my last video. This is where the one blanket is. I have it just about finished. I just have a rim of blue, like the center. I have 5 rows of blue to put on the outside of this, and then 2 rows of cream to cap it off. And then this one is done, and I will make another one for the other baby. So that's one blanket. This is the, if you want to know what pattern this is the Rainbow Ripple blanket. I got it off of Ravelry, and I love doing crochet stuff like this with color changes because I don't have any ends to sew in, right? I sew in my ends as I'm going. Like I crochet over them as I go. So this is the end for, this is the loop here with the end for my yellow. When I pick up with my cream, this end will get sewn in as I go. So there you have it. All right. So lastly, while I was at Knitlantica, I did buy a couple of things, and I will show those to you. And I want to talk about a knit along, a cow that Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. Jessie Marie is going to be hosting a knit along for stitchers who are also knitters. If you want to learn more about that, check out her Instagram post. She did do a post about it. She wants anybody to be able to participate, so it's not picking one design that everybody has to knit. It's pick a design that is within your comfort zone, but something that is like a large shawl or a wrap or a cowl, something that's going to be like a nice, knit along. So that yarn that I got from Australia, I am going to participate in the cow, and I'm going to cast on the Nautilo cowl, which I had shown before. I'll see if I can find a picture and insert it here. That's what I'm going to do for the knit along, and I'm going to use this gorgeous yarn from Bombed Yarns in Tasmania. We're going to give that a try. So to cast on, that is actually starting November 1st, so just in 2 days. So I kind of need to do a little bit of a gauge swatch, maybe. But while I was at Knitlantica, I got some beautiful, beautiful yarn that was done by Elegantly Twisted Yarns. They are out of, I want to say Nova Scotia, I believe. This yarn was specially dyed for the retreat, and it was called Wabana Kitchen Party. Oh yeah, it's a kitchen party, all right. Look at all those colors. Like, oh my gosh. It is so vibrant and so bright, so different. That is going to look gorgeous as like a shawl or a cowl or something like for spring. Oh yeah, totally. Spring or summer, 100%. So I got 2 skeins of this in the sock yarn. It is fingering weight yarn, which is 85% merino, superwash merino, and 15% nylon. And these skeins have 360 meters per skein, which is like 393 yards according to the tag. But look at those colors. Purples, gray blues, greens and yellows, salmon kind of colors. Oh yeah. Pinkies. Lovely. So I can't wait to knit this up into something. I need to find something fabulous to knit with that. And I also got some fabric while I was there, just some plain old creamy antique white. I think it's antique white. Even weave. This is not, it's a bit too even for it to be linen. So I got a nice big piece of that. And that's everything. That's a lot of stuff. I've been busy and I've still been crafting. I've been looking after the kids who are both doing fabulous in school so far. Son is in university, daughter is in private school for hairstyling and loving it. So speaking of which, I need her to color my hair and give me a trim. So I hope everyone has had a fabulous month. Have a great Halloween. And I will see you back in probably mid-November with an update. Don't forget to go check out my giveaway, and because I will be cutting that off at midnight tomorrow night, and I will be doing the draw on the 1st of November and posting the winner. So have a fabulous day, have a fabulous couple of weeks stitching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.